More Brexit, anyone? More Brexit? How about another referendum? How about we have a second go? Welcome back, ladies, gents and Pikachus. Today we're going to be talking about a second referendum, or the possibility of rerunning the 2016 Do We Want to Be in Europe vote. How divisive. Boo is what half the country is saying, and yay is what the other half of the country are now saying. It's probably not exactly half, and let me tell you why. The last time we had the referendum, it was a very slim majority. It was something like 56%, so if it had been any lower, it wouldn't have counted at all. And since then, we've had a massive influx of Europeans and Albanians and Arabs and everybody else, not so many Jews, but apart from that, we've had pretty much everybody across the world flooding into our country, legally or otherwise. And then that made me think, hang on a minute, David Cameron is back. At the same time as this, Europe have elected some far-right, they're not actually far-right, but some right-wing politicians. And they're now talking about kicking out extremist Islam. So it got me thinking, if we had a second referendum here, now that Europe are talking about getting rid of extremist Islam, would that make the result change here? Well, of course it would. Yeah, people are very easily led and they don't do much forward thinking, so they'd probably think, well, Europe's going to do what we want now, so we might as well go with them. But let me tell you why I think that'd be an extremely bad idea. Europe say what they need to say in order to get your money and your votes. The same as David Cameron likes to do. He'll say whatever he needs to say for him to get money and for him to get votes. So it stands to reason that if they wanted to propose a second referendum in order to sway your vote in this election, then they could offer a second referendum. And now that we have many, many more foreigners who are likely to be pro-European, it might swing the result around. But here's what I think would actually happen, ladies, gents and Pikachus. If we did that, Europe might well, in a year's time after that, turn around and say, no, we've changed our mind. We're not going to actually get rid of Muslims. We're just going to keep things the same as they were. Or we're going to make things even easier. We're going to completely get rid of borders and just have free travel willy-nilly. So what it might be in our interest to do, if there is a second referendum posed, is to come out even stronger and give the biggest, strongest message that we, as British normal people, can give, that we wish to remain independent. We want to control our own borders, we want to control our own policy, and we want the laws to be pro-British. Now, I'm not saying pro-white. British people don't have to be white. British people need to be resident here and have a passport, that's it. So, if we do have a second referendum posed, and it stands to reason we probably will now that David Cameron's back, and he wants to win this election, so that's something he could use to try and sway people, I think it would be in our interest to redouble our efforts and actually come out even harder, even stronger, and make a bigger point this time. No, it's not about what Europe wants or says, because we know what they want and what we want is not the same. We also know that what they say and what they do isn't the same. So it would be in our interest either way, if there was a second referendum, to vote strongly in favour of what we thought last time. And that is to remain independent and in control of our own laws. I, for one, will never forget the absolute bloodbath that was given to us last time we had this vote. It was absolutely disgusting how people were behaving, primarily caused by the sheer level of dishonesty that these politicians had displayed and the bullshit that we were given. So obviously, they have no respect for the electorate. The wounds from the last Brexit vote haven't healed yet. The losing half of the country are still rolling up their sleeves expecting the second referendum to happen, and they're getting ready for it right now. The BBC aren't going to be talking about it, of course, because they would like to blindside us just like they did before. But let me remind you, David Cameron sneaked in the back door last time he was in via a hung parliament. He didn't have the votes, he didn't have the mandate to be a leader. He had to sneak in with Nick Clegg. And then remember also, he was given a mandate after the referendum, after we won, and we demanded that we wanted our independence through this Brexit vote, and he sacked all the pro-Brexit people in the cabinet before fucking off to China with his resignation. And that's what caused all the division. Not to mention that the only reason that the referendum was so close is because they used so many lies in the campaign. So in conclusion, I just want you to remember two things. This election coming up, the general election in this country, is going to present us with four options. Keir Starmer's Labour government, which is pro-Europe, no thanks. The Tories, led by David Cameron, which is also pro-European, no thanks. A hung parliament, where they both get to sneak in together without our say-so at all, no thanks. Or the fourth, and the only real option for the normal British person with a brain in their head who cares about this country, the fourth option is to vote reclaim or reform, and make sure these traitorous rodents are nowhere near Westminster or number 10, and they do not have the opportunity to rob the last bit of our democracy from us. And that, dear ladies, gents and Pikachus, is the conclusion of this video. Just be smart, see what's coming here, see how they've engineered and rigged the scenario so that pretty much all the options for us are bad and they all point towards the same thing, Europe. And also think that Europe are not good at sticking to their word. They chop and change depending on what they need to chop and change. So yes, they've voted a few right-wing politicians in and there's a big furore about this and they're making a big deal out of it. They've done nothing yet. They've done absolutely nothing. They can talk all they want about getting rid of extreme Islam. I don't see it happening. I don't see any action on that front. So we would be fools to ourselves and our countrymen, and we would effectively become traitors to our country if we were to allow and accept a pro-European government, Labour, Tory or a coalition, knowing that they're going to go back on the vote that we already had in 2016. And let me tell you, we had to bleed for that vote. We worked our little backsides off to get that vote done. And it was the tiniest of margins that we managed to see victory by. That won't be happening again. The amount of people they've brought in from other countries, specifically for this scenario happening so they can rig the vote, I don't even think there are enough people in this country to actually counter-vote that. So we need that to be... We just need to avoid it, ladies, gents and Pikachus, and that's the end of this video. So I hope you found this informative and it really made you think about the future of this country and what you can do to help your country, which is not vote Tories, not vote Labour, and not just abstain and allow a coalition government to creep back in. Vote reclaim or reform if you care about this country at all. It will still be a bloodbath afterwards because we know we've got 50% of the country who are going to go up against us, and they didn't accept the last one. They didn't accept the democratic vote, the people spoke and they ignored. So that's what we're going to have again, and we just need to make sure this time, instead of being a silent majority that stands by and does nothing, we need to be a fucking loud and powerful majority and vote against the rigging and the communism that we can see. No Tories, no Labour, no coalition government. It's got to be reclaim or reform, okay? So, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. What it comes down to is nerves. Can you hold your nerve when you're being assaulted from all sides by political lies and bullied by your opposition and manipulated? Can you put your foot down and do the right thing? We shall see. So, I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Bye.